In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, hello there, fellow patrons of the internet. Welcome to the show. This is Untethered Live. I am Jake Johnson, and it's Monday night, Bible study night. And I'm here. I had a cancellation, so I'm here. I made it. I did it. We're back. Monday nights. I don't know about next Monday. We'll see. But right now, we're going to do something good. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for jumping in at such short notice. I didn't know even an hour ago if I was going to be here or not, but in the last minute things worked in my favor, so here I is. Here am I, as the Bible would say, or as Abraham would say. Here am I. Here am I. I guess he didn't speak good English. How are you on a Monday night? How are things going in your neck of the woods? Got a nice hot cup of coffee here with my name all over it. Yummy, yummy. And I got the hobo chic look going on. How do you like that? All white beard. I'd look like Moses if I never shaved, but once a year, whether I need it or not. Are you guys excited? You ready to get through this book? I think we might finish it tonight. We're getting close. Getting close. We're in the great book of Joshua, for those of you keeping score. Chapter 22, verse 34. That's where we left off. That's where we're going to pick up. Did you come in and come out? Are you still there? Hello? Is this thing on? I'm just kidding. Oh, it's been a hot day today. I got some grass cut today. Got some cabinets moved, and that's about it. That's about all I did today. Moved some cabinets and cut some grass. That's something, though, right? Oh, and I went to the store. Oh, you're at the vet. How is the dog, by the way? I hope it's well. Maybe you can tell me what happened in a little bit. There are cheaper ways to fix that, whatever that may be, but I understand your plight. I have more cats on the way. I just discovered another cat was pregnant, and I had a unfortunate Friday afternoon. I woke up in the morning to go to work, and I found a newborn baby cat, 2 newborn baby cats. One was dead and one was alive on top of my cabinets. And I was scared they'd fall off, and I couldn't find the mother anywhere. So I moved the cat down to the ground and under my front porch so that it would be up there, but not in a place where it would fall over. And the cat goes there to eat, so I figured, she'll find it. And then I went on to work, and I couldn't stick around, And while I was at work, come a rainstorm, rained about 4 hours. And I got home, and I found that cat out in the water like it had been in the rain the whole time. No mother in sight. So I went and I found the mother, and I brought it to the kitten. She wouldn't have anything to do with it. So I got the other mama cat and brought it to the kitten, and she wouldn't have anything to do with it either. It scared the shit out of her. She jumped and run away from it. I was like, you're a mother. You're actually feeding your kittens right now. You can't make room for one more? No, apparently not. And the mother wouldn't have anything to do with it. So it died. There's nothing I could do about it. I tried. I did try to feed it with a straw, but I didn't have the right stuff, and I wasn't prepared to have to take care of a newborn kitten, so apparently they don't survive on condensed milk, warm condensed milk. And so it died. And now I have a vendetta to kill the mama cat. So if I find it, I'm going to shoot it. And why would I do something like that? Well, because it abandoned its children. And I can't have that. So that's my week. How's yours? Hey, Caucasian Sasquatch, what's up, buddy? Are you getting geared up to be a biker dude? I've been here just scrolling through things in Byron, Georgia. I hear you. Going to meet Swiss Miss if it works out. Oh, cool. See, I haven't got to the point where I'm meeting my guys yet. They all live in other states, and I'm not driving a motorcycle to another state. So, and everything I try, she's slowly coming back, but she has other issues I'm concerned about, says April. Oh, I missed the first part. She got very dehydrated yesterday, and I had to bring her. She keeps vomiting up water. That's not good. If she's vomiting up water, then she's not dehydrated. There's something else wrong. Either that or she's not processing, so maybe her kidneys are shutting down, something like that. That's terrible. April says, that's cool, Caucasian. I hope you have a great meeting. Yeah, it's nice to meet your friends, but be careful, because some people are noodles. So just be careful and, stay armed. Has anyone seen Walter's? Walter's what? Oh, video. No, I have not. I did see it, but I hadn't watched it yet. Oh, that's sad, says April, talking about the cat. Yeah, it's not good. If a mama cat won't have anything to do with her kittens, she's not fit to be a mama cat. So that's got to be fixed. I understand it was great till yesterday. What was great till yesterday? Oh, the dog thing? I got you. Fab Daddy says, third party. Third party. Oh, yeah. He invented a new party. Yeah, I saw the video up there. It popped up in my feed, but I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I've been kind of busy. But I will watch it later. Have you talked to Walter lately? I didn't see him last night. It's a rare opportunity. It's only an hour away, and I've been there before, says Caucasian. I got you. Well, that's cool. Well, then you're fine. April says, hi, Fab Daddy. Good to see you. And hi, Fab Daddy. Good to see you. Hi, April, Jake, and Caucasian Sasquatch, says Fab Daddy. Fab Daddy, Caucasian says. April says, it may be she has had medical issues. I'll be right back, okay. It may be she has had medical issues. Are you talking about the dog or the cat? The cat's feral. They're all feral cats. There's only 2 of them I can even approach. Or 3 of them if you include the kittens. Because they're still too little to be scared of me. They hadn't got that look in their eye yet, like I'm a piece of meat. That mean look. All the other cats, they have that look. And there's about 12 of them, and now there's more on the way. I just saw a mama cat that's pregnant again. So that's 2 pregnancies in the past month. 1 didn't work out. Hopefully the next one will. But that's an older cat. The other cat's a young cat, so she probably just freaked out and didn't know what to do. But the older cat seems to have had this litter of kitty, the cats that I have now. So she's old school at it, and she's a good mama. So I think her new litter will be fine. And then I had a friend of mine ask me, well, why don't you just get them spayed? I said, well, 2 reasons. Number 1, they're all feral cats. They're not my cats. They're just here. And 2, their body, their choice. I mean, come on. It's not my place to make it where they can't have kittens. That's the way they roll. That's the way they roll. That's their business. I just happen to live next to some party cats. You know what I'm saying? What can you do? But they're not mine. I don't own them. They're free range kittens. And what business is it of mine to stick my nose in their business? Do you agree or disagree? What say you, chat? How should I handle the cat world? Catnip for everybody? That's what I think. I try to feed them, though. You got to show love somewhere. And if you live out in the woods alone like I do, there ain't a whole lot of opportunities to show love. So if cats need a sugar daddy, then so be it. I'll handle it. Ignore it, says Caucasian. I agree. It's not my business. If they have more cats, that's just more mouths to feed. I'll continue to feed them the same amount every day because it costs me money to feed them, and they can just deal with it. Maybe that'll slow them down a little. I feed them twice a day. That's enough. All right. We're going to go about 2 more minutes and get started. Just give everybody a chance to show up who's coming. Man, it's hot in here. Still reeling from being outside. It's actually not hot in here, but I'm hot because I don't have wind blowing on me. I've been outside. Oh. So, Caucasian, how are you feeling about the motorcycle deal? Are you interested in getting into it? I would recommend that if you're not an experienced rider, to start off small. Don't get a big bike because they can throw you. Don't get a Harley Davidson because it is not a novice-friendly machine. It's top-heavy, and it will hurt you. Get something like a Honda or a Kawasaki or something like that, something that's easy to handle and you don't have to work on it a lot. Like a Honda is your best bet because they are the hardest to break. I mean, they just run forever. And get something under a 700. 700 is about as high as you want to go. And you're tall, so a 700 won't be very big under you. You know, it'll be pretty average sized. 650 is probably your best bet, or a 550 even to get started if you're not experienced, if you haven't ever ridden before or haven't spent a year on a motorcycle. And also take my advice. When you make it a year on that motorcycle, really start paying attention, because that is the moment where you start getting comfortable. You start thinking you got it handled. You've been on it for a year. You know every sound it makes and every bump it feels. You know how it feels. And that's what will kill you the minute you get comfortable. So about a year in, 6 months to a year in, really be careful. And then after that, you'll pretty much know everything to do. I'm more interested in a small or dual sport or touring type. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just telling you that if you haven't ever been on a motorcycle, or if you've very rarely been on one, don't go get a big one, because it ain't cool. I don't want to see you splattered all over the highway. But after you've ridden one for a while, couple years, you can graduate up to a big one. Get you a big old gold wing and go tour the country. That's what I'd like to have. I rode as a kid till it slung a chain and cracked the crankcase. When you say you rode as a kid, what did you ride and how long did you ride it? I mean, I understand you know how to shift gears. There's a whole lot more to it than that. Or you just riding it around the yard? Were you driving down the road with it? Were you facing traffic and people coming out of side streets? And, you got to think about all that stuff. What I did was stupid. I don't recommend to do what I did. I just jumped on one and went. That was the first time I'd ever been on one. And I got lucky. It never threw me when I was a kid. But it was a smaller bike. It was one of those banana seat looking Hondas. You know what I'm talking about? The old style. Had the long flat seat on it. I think it was a 650. It might have been a 550. I can't really remember. You rode a 125. That's a dirt bike. That's a little bit different. It handles pretty much the same, but it's built for different things. For example, you can slide around on a dirt bike in the dirt because the tires are knobby and they're made for that kind of thing. You can't do that on a street bike. It'll sling you. I mean, it can be done, but it's not the same thing, riding a dirt bike is like riding a really fast bicycle. Riding a motorcycle is like sitting on top of a car going down the highway 60 miles an hour. You know, it's a little different. But if you've ridden one for a while, that's good practice, a dirt bike. It's good to get you used to maneuvering and, you know, not hitting potholes and stuff like that. Keep your eyes where they're supposed to be and that sort of thing. But I would really caution you on the street because people are stupid and they don't see motorcycles. So make sure you see them. Don't wait for them to see you. Don't rely on blinkers and such because they'll run right over you. LOL. Red Bone pulled in one morning, tossed it into the yard and left. I fixed it and drove it all over for a few years, and then it wasn't miserable. When it wasn't miserable. Gotcha. You drove everywhere in Washington? Okay. Well, I desist. I just wanted to make sure that you heard those things, if nobody's ever said those things, because, you know, I love you, and I don't want to see you flat out on the highway and drying in the sun. Because trust me, I've been riding for 25 years. I left out of a party one night, and I didn't even get out the driveway, and that sucker slung me in a ditch because it had just rained, and a deer ran out in front of me, and I swerved and hit the wet grass, and that was it. There wasn't nothing I could do about it. I hit the ground like a whip. Pow! I was in bed for a month, maybe a month and a half. So there's no time limit on when you're going to drop it. That's the thing. It's not if, it's when. Keep that in your head and you'll be good. I know lots of riders and they always say, oh, I ain't never laid my bike down. You just wait. You'll lay it down, I promise, at some point. And it probably won't be something you expect. I also had a Rebel for a few months. Wasn't a problem. I'm not interested in going fast. I hear you, buddy. Me neither. I think riding a motorcycle is a leisure sport. If you're in a hurry, you need to get in a car or something because it's really not smart to be fast on a motorcycle unless you're on a track and that's what you're doing, you know, and what everybody else is doing. But if you're in the world and everybody else is just trying to get to their job or whatever, they don't care if you're sitting there or not. They'll run right over you. All right, let's get started and do some reading, shall we? Thank you all for coming on a short notice on a Monday night. And let's go down and get a book. If you got your Bibles handy, crack them open to the great book of Joshua, chapter 22, verse 34. Maybe we can get through this without pronouncing a bunch of Klingon words. And it reads, wait a minute. I want something to put on a hitch carrier so I can park Stumblebee and go looking on a moped. I got you. Well, a moped might be your thing then. You need something light if you're going to hook it up to your vehicle. Because pulling it on a trailer really kind of defeats the purpose of having a motorcycle, but I kind of picture what you're talking about, hooking it on the backside like a bicycle. You know what I mean? If you can pick it up and hook it on, they make some pretty decent, like, scooters. I've ridden one that went like 60 miles an hour, so those little scooters can get up and go, and they don't cost a whole lot either. And you don't need a driver's license to drive one, or at least you didn't used to. Maybe they've changed that, but them little scooters are pretty impressive these days. They're kind of silly looking, but they ride, and they ride good. And you can pick one up. All right, here we go. And the children of Reuben and the children of Gad called the altar Ed. I'm not even going to dignify that statement. They called it Ed. For it shall be a witness between us that the Lord is God. And yes, he is. And it came to pass a long time after that the Lord had given rest unto Israel from all their enemies round about, that Joshua waxed old and stricken in age. He was getting on up there. And Joshua called for all Israel, and for their elders, and for their heads, not meaning the heads of the households. Not, he wasn't calling for their heads. But, hey, Bubby Watts, how you doing, buddy? And for their judges and for their officers, and said unto them, I am old and stricken in age. And they said, Captain Obvious? And ye have seen all that the Lord your God hath done unto all these nations because of you. For the Lord your God is he that hath fought for you. That's the truth. Behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes from Jordan, with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward. And the Lord your God, he shall expel them from before you, and drive them from out of your sight, and ye shall possess their land, as the Lord your God hath promised unto you. So he's given them even more land. So they've already got their inheritance a long time ago, when what we read last night occurred. And these are lands that he captured after that, around Canaan. So different places on the outskirts of Canaan where he would go and conquer. And so he's saying, I'm getting ready to die, so I'm going to take everything that I own and divide it up amongst you so that you can pass that on to your kids too. It's pretty nice of him to do. He could just leave it to his own family, but he's dividing it amongst them all. Be ye therefore very courageous to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, that ye turn not aside therefrom to the right hand or to the left, that ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, lowercase g, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them, nor bow yourselves unto them, but cleave unto the Lord your God, as ye have done unto this day. Now, that's a very important thing for you to understand. This charge from Joshua is telling these people, God's going to give you all of these lands that I've conquered. He's going to run the people out, and it'll be your property. But don't you dare worship their gods, lowercase g. Don't swear to them. Don't serve them. Don't bow to them for any reason. They are not your God. And that goes for all of you too. If you value your life, if you value your soul, do not even play with worshiping other gods. Idolatry is commandment number 1 for a reason. Don't make light of it. Now, Smoking Auditor, what's up, buddy? Bubby Watts, what's up? I think I already said hello to you. For the Lord hath driven out from before you great nations and strong. But as for you, no man hath been able to stand before you unto this day. You have beaten them all. You started out as a ragtag little army, and you beat every army from here to Timbuktu, from Jordan to Japan, basically, whatever, however much land from Jordan to Arabia anyway. And they hadn't nobody been able to stand up to them. For the Lord hath driven out from before you great nations. I read that one, sorry. One man of you shall chase 1,000. For the Lord your God, it is that fighteth for you. I can't read. I'm losing my freaking mind. As he hath promised you. It helps that they're switching qualifiers. It is that fighteth for you, as he hath promised you. Take good heed, therefore, unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God. Else if you do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, what's left of them, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you, know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you. But they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides. A scourge is a whip with hooks on the end of it. It's a little, like a cat o' nine tails kind of thing. It's a short whip, about this long, and it has hooks on the end of the fringes. And when they hit you with it, it sticks into your flesh, and then they pull it back and rips you. That's called a scourge. When you see the word scourge, that's what they're talking about. And thorns in your eyes until you perish from off this good land which the Lord your God hath given you. Does anybody see the problem here? I don't know if you have, but I have as a child thought about these places over there in the Middle East and thought about how poor their countries are and thought about how badly they were doing on the world stage and amongst themselves and how much poverty and how much crime and all that's going on. And I thought these were the places God blessed. How could that be? How could it be that they're so bad off if God is protecting them? This is why. If you want to know the truth, listen to what I just said. If you marry them, if you worship their gods, if you go in unto them, which means to have sex with them, or if they come in unto you, know for a certainty, there's no questioning this fact, know it, that every enemy you have ever come across has fallen by to your hand because of God fighting for you. But the moment that you entertain those false idolaters, the moment you entertain their twisted ways of believing and thinking, the moment you intermingle with their bloodlines, this is all over. God will no longer drive out nations from before you. He will no longer protect your interests in this part of the world. You will be on your own. And these people that you have mingled with out of curiosity or lust or whatever reason, they will be a snare to you and a trap. They'll be scourges to your sides and thorns in your eyes until you perish from off of this good land which God promised you and gave you. You don't have to work for it. It's already yours. All you have to do is walk the line and keep up. That's it. Just take care of the land. It's already yours. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody can defeat you. You are invincible as far as the world is concerned. You just have to stay out of the rest of the world. Stay right where you're at. Stay among your people. Don't go mixing with other races, other cultures, other religions, because that's going to ultimately destroy you. And if you look at the land today, it's clear what happened. They didn't listen to God. They didn't heed these warnings that Joshua spoke all those years ago. That's written in the books of the law and in this book, which they are required to know by heart. They have to memorize the law. That's part of being in that culture, that every day they have to say the words of the law until they've got it in their heart. They know it by heart. And behold, this day I am going the way of all the earth. What way is that? Back to the dust. And ye know in all your hearts and in all your souls that not one thing hath failed of all the good things which the Lord your God spake concerning you. All are come to pass unto you, and not one thing hath failed thereof. Every single thing God said he would do, he did. Every single thing he promised, they received. And sometimes tenfold. And yet, 1 minute, and they're running to other ideologies. It's like they can't learn. Therefore it shall come to pass that as all good things are come upon you, which the Lord your God promised you, so shall the Lord bring upon you all evil things, until he have destroyed you from off this good land which the Lord your God hath given you. And that is if you do these bad things. When ye have transgressed the covenant of the Lord your God, that's the promise made to Abraham and God. And there was also a promise made in the wilderness after they were taken out of Egypt. So that's the second covenant. The third covenant is with Christ. If you have transgressed the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and have gone and served other gods, and bowed yourselves to them, Then the anger of the Lord shall be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from off the good land which he hath given unto you. I put you in this world, I can take you out of it, says God. Don't make me come back there. And Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, and called for the elders of Israel, and for their heads, not their heads, the heads of their households, and for their judges, and for their officers, and they presented themselves before God. Here we are, God, this is us. This is what we look like. And Joshua said unto all the people, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, For your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood in old times, even Terah, the father of Abraham, and the father of Nahor, and they served other gods. But they didn't know about God. God introduced himself to Abraham. And I took your father Abraham from the other side of the flood, and led him through all the land of Canaan, and multiplied his seed, and gave him Isaac. That's what God did. That's God speaking. This is from the mouth of God. And I gave unto Isaac Jacob and Esau, and I gave unto Esau Mount Seir, to possess it. But Jacob and his children went down into Egypt. And I sent Moses also and Aaron, and I plagued Egypt according to that which I did among them. And afterward I brought you out. This is God speaking in the first person, by the way. This is his voice talking to these people in Shechem. And I brought your fathers out of Egypt, and ye came unto the sea. And the Egyptians pursued after your fathers with chariots and horsemen unto the Red Sea. And when they cried unto the Lord, he put darkness between you and the Egyptians, and brought the sea upon them, and covered them. And your eyes have seen what I have done in Egypt. You are eyewitnesses. You're not mistaken about what happened. You saw it with your own eyes. And you dwelt in the wilderness a long season. That would be 40 years they were there, until their parents were dead. And I brought you into the land of the Amorites, which dwelt on the other side of Jordan, the eastern side of Jordan. And they fought with you, and I gave them into your hand that ye might possess their land, and I destroyed them from before you. Then Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, arose and warred against Israel, and I sent and called Balaam, remember him, the son of Beor, to curse you. But I would not hearken unto Balaam. Therefore he blessed you still. So I delivered you out of his hand. I turned your enemy into your ally. And you went over Jordan and came unto Jericho. And the men of Jericho fought against you, the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Hivites and the Jebusites from Jebusi. And I delivered them into your hand. And I sent the hornet before you, which drave out from before you even 2 kings of the Amorites, but not with thy sword, nor with thy bow. You didn't have anything to do with it. It was me. I sent them out. I drove them out. You were just standing there as a bystander, a spectator. And I have given you a land for which ye did not labor, and cities which ye built not, and ye dwelt in them, or dwell in them. Of the vineyards and the olive yards which ye planted not, do you eat. Now, therefore, fear the Lord, and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the lowercase gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood, and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. That's God Almighty. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the lowercase gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood. Notice he keeps pointing the flood out. Remember, I destroyed this whole place once. I can do it again. Or the lowercase gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. You're in the land of the Amorites. Choose their gods if you think they can do better. If it seems evil to you to serve me, try another one and see how that gets you. See where it gets you. Want in one hand and spit in the other one and see which one gets full faster, says God. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Now, this is not God speaking. This is Joshua speaking. And the people answered and said, God forbid that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods. Lord, no, we don't want to do that. For the Lord our God, He it is that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, which did those great signs in our sight, and preserved us in all the way wherein we went, and among all the people through whom we passed. Remember how they kept running into people that wanted to fight them? And the Lord drave out from before us all the people, even the Amorites, which dwelt in the land. Therefore will we also serve the Lord, for He is our God. And Joshua said unto the people, Ye cannot serve the Lord, for He is an holy God. He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions nor your sins. For if ye forsake the Lord and serve strange gods, then He will turn and do you hurt and consume you. After that, He hath done you good. Now, that whole section there, this sounds like Joshua saying you can't serve the Lord because He's more holy and jealous and will not forgive your transgressions nor your sins. That is what he's saying here, but he's using it as a reference to serving other gods. That's not clear, and I just want to point that out. The qualifier here, the object of what we're talking about is serving false gods. So when he says you cannot serve the Lord, add to that, you cannot serve two masters. You can't serve the Lord and serve a false god. For God is holy and jealous. He doesn't like it at all when you worship other gods. And if you worship other gods, He will not forgive you transgressions or your sins. What's the difference? Well, a transgression is usually a personal thing, something you do that hurts someone or yourself. A sin is a spiritual thing. So transgressions are physical, sins are spiritual. For if ye forsake the Lord and serve strange gods, then He will turn and do you hurt. He will destroy you after He's done so much good for you. That's what he's saying there. He's done all this good for you. Don't make Him have to hurt you. And the people said unto Joshua, Nay, but we will serve the Lord. And Joshua said unto the people, Ye are witnesses against yourselves that ye have chosen you the Lord to serve Him. And they said, We are witnesses. They agree with him. He's saying, don't forget you said that. That came out of your mouth. You recognize who the power is. Now you have to uphold your end of the bargain. So keep it in your memory that you said that you understood that at this point. Lizarine, how are you, sweetheart? I didn't see you jump in. Smoking auditor, welcome. Now, therefore, put away, he said, the strange gods which are among you, and incline your heart unto the Lord God of Israel. So apparently, some of them are still holding on to these small handmade gods that they worship in secret. I don't know why anyone would at this point. If I saw firsthand the things that God did, I would not be bothering with a little carved out statue or anything like that, because they haven't done anything. They can't save you. They can't heal you. They can't smite your enemies. They can't deliver you out of bondage. They are false. They're not real. No matter how bad you want them to be, they're not real. And the people said unto Joshua, The Lord our God will we serve, and His voice will we obey. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day, and set them a statute and an ordinance in Shechem. So this is written in the book. This is the law now. This is a promise made between Joshua and the people that they are going to do right when he dies, that they are going to keep walking the walk and talking the talk and following the Lord their God. And Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of God, and took a great stone and set it up there under an oak that was by the sanctuary of the Lord. And Joshua said unto all the people, Behold, this stone shall be a witness unto us, for it hath heard all the words of the Lord which he spake unto us. It shall be therefore a witness unto you, lest ye deny your God. So anytime you get it in your head that God ain't real, or that you ain't going to follow him anymore, you look at this sign, this stone, because it remembers every word you spoke and every word he spoke. So Joshua let the people depart, every man unto his inheritance. And it came to pass after these things that Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. He was a spry young buck, 110. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance at Timnath-serah, which is in Mount Ephraim, on the north side of the hill of Gash. And Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that overlived Joshua, and which had known all the works of the Lord that he had done for Israel. And the bones of Joseph, which the children of Israel brought up out of Egypt, buried they in Shechem, in a parcel of ground which Jacob bought of the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver, and it became the inheritance of the children of Joseph. So to this day they own that plot of land, and there are burial sites all over it. So apparently they've been burying people there for years and years and years. And Eleazar, the son of Aaron, died. That was the high priest. And they buried him in a hill that pertained to Phinehas, his son, which was given him in Mount Ephraim. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the great book of Joshua. We are finished. So now we move on to the book of Judges. So now we're getting into the who, what, when, where, and whys. We'll go a little ways in this book, and then we'll break off. Now, after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, Who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first, to fight against them? I thought we've already done that. And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. Exhausting book, but a good book. Yes, sir, Bubby Watts, you are right about that. And Judah said unto Simeon his brother, Come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Canaanites. And I likewise will go with thee into thy lot. So Simeon went with him. Now, these Canaanites that we're talking about fighting are the remnants of the people that are left. Like, they broke the cities, they broke the armies, but there's still Canaanite people living all over the place. So this is an incursion. There's a group of people that got together and are rebel rousing. So it's not like the big armies that they fought before. This is a smaller deal. But still, there's riffraff everywhere, and they don't worship the same God, so they're like square pegs and round holes. They just don't fit with the people that live there now, the Israelites. So there's going to be problems, and there have been for many, many moons. So this guy and his brother make a promise to each other. I'll go to your house and help you clean up. You come to my house and help me clean up. So we'll do good for each other. And Judah went up, and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand. And they slew of them in Bezek 10,000 men. So it was a decent-sized rebel rousing, but still nonetheless not like the big armies of before. And they found Adonibezek in Bezek, and they fought against him, and they slew the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And Adonibezek fled, and they pursued after him and caught him and cut off his thumbs and his great toes. Why would you do a thing like that? Just kill the man. So he's walking around unable to open doors or twist the cap off of a bottle. And Adonibezek said, 70 kings have their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table, as I have done. so God hath requited me. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Well, that was a random bit of sarcasm. 70 kings, having their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table, as I have done. And then he died. That's a weird thing to say before you die. Now the children of Judah had fought against Jerusalem, and had taken it, and smitten it with the edge of the sword, and set the city on fire. And afterward the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites, and dwelt in the mountain, and on the south, and in the valley. And Judah went against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron before was Kirjath-arba. And they slew Sheshai, and Ahiman, and Talmai. And from thence he went against the inhabitants of Debir. And the name of Debir was before Kirjath-sepher. And Caleb said, He that smiteth Kirjath-sepher, and taketh it, to whom I will give Aksah, my daughter, to wife. You can't say her name, but she's pretty. Whoever kills this land, whoever beats this city, you get my unpronounceable daughter to wed. And you can call her Mary, because Aksah is hard to say. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Aksah, his daughter, to wife. That would be his niece, by the way. I'm just letting you know. And it came to pass, when she came to him, that she moved him to ask for her father a field. This girl is enterprising. Check this out. I'll give you a little piece of tail, but you got to go ask my daddy for a field. And she lighted from off her ass, her donkey, not her ass. And Caleb said unto her, What wilt thou? What do you want? And she said unto him, Give me a blessing, for thou hast given me southland. Give me also springs of water. Well, you might be asking for a lot, young lady, but you're pretty, and nobody can say your name, so I'll do it. And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the lower springs, the nether springs. So she's got the southlands and the water spring area, like the swamps down below that, and then the springs up in the mountains. So she's like racking up over here. She's a smart girl. See? Anybody says girls aren't represented well in the Bible has not read the Bible, because this girl, you can't even say her name, and she's racking up from her daddy. And the children of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up out of the city of palm trees with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lieth in the south of Arad. And they went and dwelt among the people. Now this word up here, Kenite, these are descendants of Cain. The reason they don't call them Canaanites is because there's already a Canaanite. So, just so you know, that's who these people are. And Moses' father-in-law was one of them. And if you go back and read Moses, you'll find all about him and what he did. He's not a very nice guy. Let me read that again because I lost myself. And the children of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up out of the city of palm trees with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah. The children of Judah are people, in the wilderness of Judah is a place, which lieth in the south of Arad. And they went and dwelt among the people. And Judah went with Simeon, his brother, and they slew the Canaanites that inhabited Zephath, and utterly destroyed it. And the name of the city was called Hormah. Also Judah took Gaza with the coasts thereof, and Askelon with the coasts thereof, and Ekron with the coasts thereof. And the Lord was with Judah. Well, I reckon so. Judah is the king line of the 12 tribes. All the kings come from the tribe of Judah. All of the priests or high priests come from the tribe of Levi, and so on. And he drave out the inhabitants of the mountains, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of iron, because they were bad boys. And they gave Hebron unto Caleb, and Moses said, and he expelled thence the 3 sons of Anak. Now, this is kind of going back in time. This has already been done. This is like I guess you could call this a recap of the main battles. So this particular group, Hebron and Caleb taking Hebron, as Moses said, and he expelled thence the sons of Anak, which were already expelled, right? Anak was defeated, was one of the first people they came up against when they crossed Jordan River, was the sons of Anak. Now, he may have had other sons, but this sounds a lot like a recap. So read it how you want to, but just know that they've already fought the sons of Anak. And the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites that inhabited Jerusalem, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem unto this day. Now, who are the Jebusites? You've heard me say before that the Jews that we know of today that call themselves Jewish are not real Jews, meaning they are not of the tribe of Judah. They are, however, of the tribe of the Jebusites. And they come from the same place, but they're not the same group. So you got to be careful about that. They use the word Jewish today kind of like naming a religion. It's more complicated than that. They're not just Jewish. I'm Jewish. Are you? Remember last night when ATL said he was Jewish, and I asked him, was he a Jew or was he Jewish? Because there is a difference. You got to be careful about that. But they dwell together to this day, Benjamin and Jebusi, which was originally the people in Jerusalem. And the house of Joseph, they also went up against Bethel, which means house of God, by the way, or house of El. And the Lord was with them. The Lord has always been with these tribes, but he's particularly with the tribe of Joseph at this moment, because Bethel means the house of God. Clearly, he wants them to have it. And the house of Joseph sent to descry Bethel. Descry? Now the name of the city, therefore, was Luz. And the spies saw a man come forth out of the city, and they said unto him, Show us, we pray thee, the entrance into the city, and we will show thee mercy. Smart move. And when he showed them the entrance into the city, they smote the city with the edge of the sword, but they let go the man and all his family. That's a nice move of theirs. So they kept their word. They showed him mercy. And his family. They let him live. And the man went into the land of the Hittites, and built a city, and called the name thereof Luz, which is the name thereof unto this day. Neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Bethshean and her towns, nor Tanakh, we talked about that place yesterday, or her towns, nor the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Ablim and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns, but the Canaanites would dwell in that land. Now keep this place right here in your head at all times. Megiddo is the place to watch, because something's going to happen in the future in Megiddo, in the valley there, that is going to change the face of the earth and all that live on it. And you need to be paying attention when that occurs. So keep your eyes on Megiddo. Don't forget the name. It's actually where we get the word Armageddon, which means the destruction of Megiddo. So there you go. And it came to pass, when Israel was strong, that they put the Canaanites to tribute, and did not utterly drive them out. Now you remember what God said when he brought those people over the Jordan River and into Canaan? He said, Go, subdue the land, and drive out the inhabitants. Kill them. Drive them off of the land. And it'll be yours. Well, this is evidence of them not completing that task. They didn't utterly drive out a lot of these people, so they conscripted them. They made them slaves or tribute. They put them to work. They let them live with them, which means that they let their gods stay with them, which is not what God had in mind. So from the beginning of their exodus into Canaan, there has been issues with their obeying God. There always has been. There always will be. But if you wonder why God is so mad, why he destroys so many things, why he turns his back on mankind, why he's called a tyrant amongst the atheists, this is why. Because they don't pay attention. They don't listen. They don't do what they're told, and then things go bad, and then they blame God for it. God told them what to do. And it came to pass when Israel was strong that they put the Canaanites to tribute, and did not utterly drive them out. Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites that dwell in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwell in Gezer among them. Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron, nor the inhabitants of Nahalol, but the Canaanites dwelt among them and became tributaries or servants. Neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Akko, nor the inhabitants of Zidon, nor of Alab, nor of Akzib, nor of Helba, nor of Aphik, nor of Rehob. But the Asherites dwell among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, for they did not drive them out. So you see, these people staying there, whether they're tributaries or not, is a problem, because their culture is now going to mix with the culture of the Israelites, and it's going to weaken their resolve to their God. You understand? You say Megiddo, I say Megadio. Let's call the whole thing off. It'd be nice if we could, but I'm pretty sure it's set in motion. Ain't a lot we can do about that one. Sit back and watch. God's going to fight that battle anyway. We don't stand a chance. Neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Bethshemesh, nor the inhabitants of Bethanath. Out of all that fighting, they didn't manage to complete the task. They broke the armies. They won the fights, but they did not do what God told them to do, which was to drive these people out. And you see that the list is growing of places they didn't completely cleanse of the people that were there. And the more names get added to this list means the more trouble they're going to have in the future from these people once they get stronger again, once they rebound from being utterly defeated. You think they might hold a grudge? Walter, what's up, buddy? Did I say hello already? Hello. Lisa Reen. MVTV. I'm sorry if I didn't say hello. I'm kind of preoccupied. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Bethshemesh and Bethanath became tributaries unto them. Doesn't matter if you put them into servitude. They will eventually come back to bite you in the tail. MVDV says, I can't imagine how much worse society can get. Hey, Fab Daddy. Well, I promise you, brother, it's going to get much worse. And if you'd like to know, I can tell you. I'll tell you what's going to happen before it all comes to an end. You're not going to like it, though. And the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountain. So these Amorites are fighting back. For they would not suffer them to come down to the valley. But the Amorites would dwell in Mount Heres, in Ajalon, and Shaalbim. Yet the hand of the house of Joseph prevailed, so that they became tributaries. There's another group of really bad rebels that almost won. They just managed to defeat them barely, and so they become slaves now. You think they might hold a grudge? You think they might poison your oatmeal? I'd watch out. And the coast of the Amorites was from the going up to Akrabim, from the rock and upwards. the rock. From the rock. Wonder where that is. And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I made you go up out of Egypt, and have brought you unto the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. Which angel do you think is talking? Does anybody know for 10 points? Which angel of the Lord is speaking? Come on, you know this one. Pass the quiz. Here it is. Prove to me you've been paying attention. Anyone? Which angel is doing the talking here? I'll give you a hint. An angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I made you go up out of Egypt, and have brought you into the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. Ding, 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 ding. Montana got it right. I only know Gabriel. Well, Gabriel is the face of God. Anytime you hear God's voice, that's Gabriel doing the talking, because God doesn't have a voice you can particularly hear. So the burning bush was Gabriel, the angel that proclaimed the coming of Christ, the guy that said, behold, my son in whom I am well pleased. All these different things was the angel Gabriel, Lizarine, not Michael. Michael is a warrior. He does the fighting. He fights the dragon in Revelations. But Gabriel does the talking for God. So anytime you hear God talking in the first person, like it's coming out of his mouth, it's actually Gabriel's mouth doing the talking. But it's God's thoughts. And ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your side, and their lowercase gods shall be a snare unto you. I told you this would happen, didn't I? I said, if you don't drive these people out, or if you go and mingle with them, you're going to have trouble. Didn't I tell you that? Why have you done this thing? Why didn't you heed my warning and get rid of these people like I told you to? And it came to pass, when the angel of the Lord spake these words unto all the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voices and wept. Well, it's too late to cry about it now. You should have done what you were told. And they called the name of that place Bochim, and they sacrificed there unto the Lord. And when Joshua had let the people go, the children of Israel went every man unto his inheritance to possess the land. So they're scattered out all over Canaan right now. And the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua. Same phrase that was before, twice for emphasis. Who had seen all the great works of the Lord that he did for Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnathres. It's the same place, it's just spelled a little differently here. In the Mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill Gash. Timnath-Heres is how you say that. It's spelled right here. I think it's spelled wrong in the other place. And also all the generation were gathered unto their fathers. And there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. Now, didn't Joshua make them promise that they would teach their children and their children's children and their children's children the law? Didn't they put up a sign that said, we will worship God? He is, that we're going to walk in his path. Didn't all that happen? Their children don't know God, which means the parents didn't bother to teach them about God. Too busy reaping in the benefits for that land that they didn't build, I guess. or work for. Let that be a lesson to parents out there. Don't just give your children everything they ask for. It makes them weak. Make them work for it a little bit. They constantly disobeyed God's orders and didn't see nor understand his wisdom, says Dana. Hi, Dana. Welcome. And you're absolutely right. Every other generation, it seems, turns against God, and then another generation is born that sees the calamity and turns back towards God. This generation is the second generation Canaanites, or Israelites, however you want to look at it. This is the children of the people that came from Egypt that saw God with their own eyes. And they don't know God. All these altars that were built for the children's sake, nobody seems to know anything about who God is. One generation in. Amazing. They knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. Nobody bothered telling them. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Baalim. They knew that God, didn't they? They didn't know the real God, but they figured out who Baalim was, or Baal, depending on who you're talking to. And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, lowercase g, of the lowercase g gods, of the people that were around about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger. This is what happens when you have a generation that you don't pay attention to. The same thing that's happening to the young people of this world today. They don't care about what we cared about. They don't understand that going too far in one direction is bad for you. They don't understand the value of their identity and who they belong to and what their parents did and their parents' parents and the information passed down through generations. They don't care. Hey, I want to change my identity. I'll just do that. That's what everybody else is doing because you know what your people are doing, but you didn't listen to your parents, or the parents didn't bother to teach you right from wrong. They are stiff-necked, stubborn people. They are hard-headed. And that's why God destroyed them once. And he's about to do it again. For they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth, the god, not the place, lowercase g. Baal and Ashtaroth are bad dudes, and they're still around today. If you don't believe me, drop by your local Planned Parenthood and look around, and you'll see Baal all over the place. That is his temple. If you want to see Ashtaroth, go to a pride parade. The anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of the spoilers, and that spoiled them, and he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. They were utterly wiped out, these children, these hard-headed children. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of the Lord was against them for evil, as the Lord had said, and as the Lord had sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed. They were just victims all over the place, victims everywhere, victims of mental health issues, victims of gender identity issues, victims of this, victims of that, victims of bullying. They were just victims, because that's what God said he would do. He said no matter where they turned, they would be a victim, that they would no longer win, that their enemies would run over them and then take them and enslave them. And that's exactly what they have done. And that's exactly what's happening to our world right now. And there is only one way to fix that. If you don't believe that, keep reading. Nevertheless, the Lord raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. See there? Even though God taught them a lesson, let them get caught, let them get conscripted into slavery, he raised up judges, smart people, men of God that would go and fetch his children out of bondage and bring them back to reality. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a-whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them. And they turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord. But they did not so. You can't even save them. They don't want to be saved. They think they know better. They think this God stuff is silly. They think this new thing, this new religion that they're believing in, and they believe in it wholeheartedly. They think it is the answer, and they will not listen to you. They will turn against you if you try to convince them of otherwise. This is more than a cult. This is a false deity pulling them away from God, and they're following. It's their choice, which means they're going to pay the price. There's nothing you can do to save them. And when the Lord raised them up judges, then the Lord was with the judge, and delivered them out of the hands of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Lord because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. I'll read that again. It repented the Lord. He felt miserable. It made him feel sick to his stomach. He felt shame for these people that he created because of their groaning by reason of the oppression. The oppression by reason of the whatever excuse that vexes them these days. That's right, Bubby Watts. Pride goeth before the fall. This sentence right here is exactly what's happening in our world today. God is repented because of the groanings of the people about their oppression and about their vexations. They are stiff-necked people. Why is God gave those stiff-necked judges, not politicians? That is correct. He gave them people that had the power to save them, and they wouldn't listen to them either. They just went a-whoring after these false deities and these false ideologies and these false narratives, these false identities, these things that they think make them important, make them worth something, but it doesn't. It's usurping them from God. And it's their own fault because deep down they know better. The 10 Commandments is written on your heart. No one ever has to tell you that stealing is wrong because you know it instinctively not to do that. That's why babies cry when they get caught stealing cookies. Nobody ever explained the intricacies of theft or ownership to them. They just know. And it came to pass when the judge was dead that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers in following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn ways. They kept doing it, and they got worse. They got more depraved, and more perverted, more evil than their fathers did, and they worshiped other gods. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he said, because that this people hath transgressed my covenant which I commanded their fathers, I have not hearkened unto my voice, and have not hearkened unto my voice. I also will not henceforth drive out anyone from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died. You're just going to get beat. Because they have not listened to me, because they transgressed the law that I set out for them to follow. I will no longer protect them from their enemies. I will no longer drive these people out away from them. They're going to come in and take over, and if you can't beat them, you're just going to become their slaves. You'll be their tributes. Joshua died having not completed the task of cleansing the land of all the enemies. So there were still some hot places, some areas where they were dug in like ticks that didn't get excavated or evacuated. And now these children are going to have to contend with that without God's help. Now keep in mind, all the places that Joshua defeated, he defeated because God was on his side, not because Joshua was totally bad. He was, but Joshua knew God delivered those enemies to his hand. These children, they don't have a clue what they're up against. They're not warriors. They're milky-skinned, frosted tips, polished nails, wearing a man bun. They don't know what battle is. They can't even write in cursive. You understand? They can't read a map. They've never existed without the internet. They wouldn't know what to do if they were in the wilderness. They would be dead in 3 days. That's these people. And they have enemies, lots of them, who are battle-hardened warriors. Who do you think's going to win? That through them I may prove Israel, whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein, as their fathers did keep it, or not. See, there's the qualifier, or not. It's your choice. You can choose not to listen to God if you want to. It's not going to work out well for you, though. Therefore the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily. Neither delivered he them into the hand of Joshua. That's it. God washed his hands of these children. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. All these people in Israel are children. They didn't know any war. Their fathers fought those wars. They never had to. So you must understand that now it's proving time. Now we're going to find out who the boys are, separating them from the men. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know to teach them war. At the least, such as before knew nothing thereof. They didn't know anything about war. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from the Mount Baal-Hermon unto the entering of Hamath. That's where we're going to stop for today. We'll pick up on the great book of Judges 3-4 next Sunday, and we will read and figure out how these dumb children are going to get out of this mess that they found themselves in today. I hope that touched your heart. I hope that it brings you ever closer to your Father. I hope it causes you to delve in, dig deep, understand the meaning of the words of your Father, understand what he expects of you, and follow it. And while you're doing all that listening, won't you take a moment and hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's right in front of you. It's free. It's effortless, and it really does help the channel with the algorithms. Helps us get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave comments down below and let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid as long as you're thinking critical. That's what I'm after. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build here and you'd like to be part of that, or if you feel led to send tithes, offerings, or love offerings to this little church of ours, or if you'd like to just pat me on the back and say, hey, nice job, Jake, I see what you're doing here, you can do that. You can support my work by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband. Or if you're a CashApp user, you can go to $JakeJohnsonBand, or you can look in the description below. There's a link at the top of the description that now functions as a link that you can click if you need to. Now, every little bit helps. It's a win-win. We are in a spiritual battle and we need fighters. And if you can't fight, you can carry bullets. If you can't carry bullets, you can make sandwiches. But it takes us all. And we are here to do that job, and I appreciate every little bit that comes my way. It's a blessing to me. It's a blessing to you too, because we live in a reciprocal universe and God notices these things. And now, I will do everything in my power to be worthy of that support and answer all of your questions and comments. Let's continue the video. Let me see what I missed. Kevin Cox, what's up, buddy? Hey, Walter, Lisa Reen, and Fab Daddy. Dana says they constantly disobeyed God's orders and did not see nor understand his wisdom. Correct. Fab Daddy says, hi, Kevin. Dana says, stiff necks. Yep. Walter says, hi, Kevin and Dana. Bubby Watt says it's called supporting the current thing. Yes, and they do it all the time. Dana says, Walter Davis, heart. Bubby Watt says, hey, Kevin, how are you doing? And hey, Dana and Walter. Dana says, Bubby Watts, heart. That's peeing. I think that's what that is. Bubby Watt says, pride comes before the fall. Jake, yes, it does. Dana says, the wise God gave those stiff-necked judges, not politicians. Very astute observation there, Dana. Dana says the book of Judges is a beautiful book. Thumbs up and prayers. Bubby Watt says my pride flag is an American flag, LOL. That's my country's flag. My pride flag has stars and bars on it. Dana says Isaiah 66:4. I also will choose their delusions and will bring their fears upon them, because when I called, none did answer, and when I spake, they did not hear, but they did evil before mine eyes. That's what they're doing then. That's what they're doing now. Are you listening? When God calls, are you paying attention? Will you answer? Or will you fall into that strong delusion with the rest of the stiff-necked idiots? God's calling. Pay attention. April says, I'm here, Jake. We are at the ER vet clinic. They say so far Precious needs oxygen. This is the second place we had to take her to ER. Bubby Watt says, follow Jake on Rumble, too. That's right, rumble.com/UntetheredLive. Here's the link, and thank you, Bubby Watts. I appreciate that. I'm live on Rumble every Friday night at 8:30. And April will be saying a prayer for your puppy, and I hope that you get that solved, and I hope your dog is okay. And bless you for taking such good care of her. You guys really ought to check out my Rumble channel, though. It's doing some interesting things over there. There are quite a lot of viewers over there, more so than are here, and I've only been there for a couple of months, seriously. I mean, I've been there for a couple of years, but I haven't done anything live over there until recently. For your tub, baby April. Prayers for your tub, baby April. Fur baby. Prayers for your puppy, April, says Fab Daddy. Bubby Watts says, I will pray for your dog, April. Thank you, Bubby Watts. Everybody say a prayer for April's dog and see if little Precious gets out of the ordeal she's in. And if not, may God pull her in with both arms open wide. Dana says, this is a heart with an exclamation mark, Jake. Well, it looks like a peeing heart to me. And that looks like a vibrating heart, but I got the smiley face. I'm not good with emojis. I don't speak hieroglyphics, but they're cute. Thank y'all so much, says April. You're welcome, sweetheart. Heart with an exclamation mark. That's funny. I don't care who you are. Come on now. She's going to be here a while. I bet. They don't make a doggy oxygen mask, do they? That you could take home with you? Bubby Watt says, my cat is getting old as well, but he's still kicking, thankfully. Gotcha. Made you look. Remember that game? You see that? There was only one thing to defeat that, and you had to touch it before it was moved away from you. If you could touch it, you didn't get punched in the arm. That's a game we played. It's real. Look it up. See, when I was a kid, you got punched in the dang arm. When my kids are kids, they get misgendered, and it hurts their feelings. It's a different world. That's all I can tell you. It's a different world, and it's terrifying to think that they have to go through that. But they have to go through it, and it's their decision. That's the thing you got to swallow. That's the thing you got to come to terms with. It's their decision. They're in God's hands. They can turn to God, or they can turn away from God. All you can do is hope with all of your heart that you taught them enough to keep them interested in God, that you did it right, and they follow in your footsteps eventually. The fact that they're faced with this kind of consumption, there's nothing you can do about that but watch it. And I hate that for them, but they got to learn, as does every generation. And as you see in the Bible, it seems like, and it may not be exactly this every time, but it seems like every other generation turns away from God. They turn towards him, then they turn away from him. They turn back towards him, and they turn away from him. They're delivered, and they get into slavery, and then they're delivered again. Seems like it's back and forth throughout the whole Bible. Jake, I've been watching videos of people preaching at pride parades, and oh my, those people will literally screech like a vampire being exposed to sunlight. You know that part in the Bible that says when God returns, that there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth and people wishing that mountains would fall on them so they don't have to face the wrath of God? Those are those people. That's not going to happen to you, but you'll see it happen. Dana says, I love to study the King James Bible in English language. English is not my native language, yet I love the 1611 English. What a beautiful language. What language do you speak, Dana? It seems like I remember you telling me you were from the Netherlands or someplace over there, Sweden maybe, I can't remember. So someplace. What language is it that you speak? And you're right. Any Bible that is 1611 or prior is the better Bible. The older, the better. Now, I teach from the 1611 Strong's Concordance. That's what I have. So when I get information, it comes from there and other places, but they're. And I don't own a 1611 Bible. I used to, but I gave it to my sister because it belonged to my mother. So now she owns it. Czech, that's what it was, is my native. I am from Prague, the Czech Republic. Prague, you meet a lot of spies? Seems like all the spy movies go to Prague. You ever notice that? Wonder why. It's a beautiful place, though. Did you ever meet James Bond? Or whatever the guy's name in Mission Impossible? Or the Saint? You ever meet the Saint? He was in Prague. Seems like all those movies, Prague is on the list of places to go. Prague and Istanbul and a couple other places I can't think of. Oh, Venice is another place that people like to go if they're spies. I guess they just do a who's who of the best cities. And they just go there for aesthetics. Yes, we're spies, and we could have this meeting at McDonald's in New York, but Prague looks way prettier. I've always wanted to visit Prague. How is it there? Is Prague a free place? I know at one time it was under a different rule, but I don't know much about the Czech Republic. But I'm interested, curious. And thank you for the compliment on the language. The old folks did it better, I think. We kind of screwed it up. Prague is beautiful. I believe it is. Maybe you can send me some pictures sometime. I'd love to see it. And by the way, I appreciate you being here, Dana. I hope that you become a regular. And I hope you enjoy the study. God is like water. It helps us live and is beautiful to look at and can be very strong like God is. That's nice, Bubby Watts. MVDV says, I'm Czech as well. Last name is Moravec. Hey, you and MVTV have something in common, Dana. Dana, MVTV, Dana. It happened in Monterey a long time ago. Not myself, but my family went to visit the homeland, and they were very impressed. I wish I went. This sounds like a lovely place from what I've heard of it. And all the great bands came from there. Prog rock. Montana is from Moravia. Go figure. Descended from the 17th century monarchy before it fell, and now it sounds good. Ha! Pretty good analogy, wouldn't you say? Yes, there's more truth to that than you might know. There's something unusual about the properties of water, and it is just interesting. I don't know if it has any value intrinsically or not, but water seems to have a memory. Those that have done studies with water seem to be able to influence it by what's near it, by the sounds or the actions that are near it, changes the properties of the water. Look into that. It's a very fascinating study. Just type into YouTube, water has memory, and look at the videos that come out now. Keep in mind, these are hooey scientists, but what they're saying ain't wrong. They just don't know where to put it. They don't know where to classify that kind of study. But it's very interesting. Water does have memory. And God is in everything. But more specifically, it'd probably be the lesser properties of water, such as gas, like air, because God is referred to as the spirit or the ruach, the breath of life, the air. So there's more to that than you might know. Air is made out of water, by the way. I will cause water is something we definitely take for granted here in this country. MVDV says, water is actually very bizarre, and life is only possible because of it. For instance, it will freeze from the top down, and that's supposed to be unusual for a fluid, but doesn't then kill off aquatics. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And also, don't realize how bizarre water is. Yeah, water's pretty bizarre. Water is the only thing on planet Earth that does not have a shape. Think about that. The only tangible thing, the physical thing that has surface tension that does not have a shape. It takes whatever shape it's in. But if it was by itself, it would just be an amorphous blob, or maybe it would fall into a sphere. I meant to put a comma after the words I will. My bad. That's all right. I will, because water is something we definitely take for granted here in this country. Look up that video is what you're referring to. I got you. It's interesting. There's some interesting, unique studies that have come with water. Like, again, I'm not talking about the science. I'm just talking about the observation of water. So whatever it is they're talking about's hooey, obviously. They don't know what they're doing. They're looking. They're searching for meaning. But what they discover about water is fascinating. Check it out. All right, boys and girls, it is 10 o'clock. Time for me to turn into a vampire bat. Humidity was the main reason I fled to the Midwest. I love the arid 30% humidity here. Usually, even makes the cold seem less cold. Yeah. Florida does that too. But it makes hot seem like you're drowning in hot. But Florida's lovely also. But flat. I bet there's a lot more scenery where you're at. It's barely after 8 on this curve of the planet, but dark clouds rolling in. Bubby White says, all righty, Jake. God bless you. See you Wednesday. See you Wednesday too, Bubby Watson. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for contributing to the chat and all the things that you do. And thank you for keeping the conversation interesting. And thank you for listening. It means a lot. And I'm glad I could make it today. It's nice to be here. April, I hope that your dog is doing well, and I hope you get through it. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. We'll be there some way or another. That goes for all of you. You got my email address. It's right here on the screen. Reach out, and I'll get back to you. So have a good night. Rest well. Good job again. Nod to chat. Happy trails and safe travels. Thank you, MVTV. And likewise. And Dana and Lisa Reen, thank you for being here. And all the rest of you that are in the chat. I think that covers y'all. Fab Daddy. Smoking Auditor, Caucasian. Walter Davis showed up tonight. We was just asking about him. Didn't say much, though. Walter, I'm going to check your video out when I get a chance. All right, that just about does it. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much. God bless you all. I love you true. Keep up the good work. Keep up seeking for God, and you will find answers. You just have to look. They're all there. Any question you may have, this book contains the answer. And the more you go through it, the more you will discover. This book is pregnant. It is the only book in existence that does that. The more you read it, the more you uncover about it. You may read the same thing 3 times and get 3 different meanings from it. Same verse. Every time you read it, it's applicable to what you're going through. It's applicable to the world you live in. It's applicable to the time in which you live. It's applicable to you personally. It's the only book that can do that. That's how you know it's real. Keep that in mind. Keep up the search and the good work. And I'll see you Wednesday. Thanks for watching.